Hey guys, so I've been asked by many to share my settings for the Simagic Alpha Evo Pro wheelbase, the 18 Newton meter one released recently by Simagic. So, one thing I'd like to say about this video is that this video is definitely one that people have asked for, so I'm sure it's going to be helpful in that regard. But force feedback is always down to feeling. So, what might feel nice for me might not feel nice for you. So, I always encourage you to change them yourselves because I do have to say, you may see a video like this in 3, 6, or 9 months, and there's a very good reason for that because I'm always changing and my settings are always evolving for what I need, for when my understanding of my own interpretation of force feedback kind of grows, all that kind of stuff. So that's the joy about having such easily accessible settings, is that you can quickly change anything to where you want it to be, and they change over time depending on the car possibly, or even the track. But these are my settings here, so let's have a little look. So I have 900 degrees, so obviously should be centered, it's sitting to the left now. 900 degrees, the hard lock angle is 900 degrees, the limit strength is set to soft. That's when it hits the bump stop. It's kind of like a soft stop. If I set it to firm, it's a bit more like a wall, so doesn't really matter for me as such, as I don't really exceed that limit. I never actually find the limit. Maybe for people drifting or doing rally and stuff like that, you may want to find that lock if you're trying to park or doing truck simulator, who knows. But yeah, so my force feedback, I have it set to 100%, which is 18 Newton meters. My filter level is set to 0. That's only because I choose to have a bit more of a lively wheel. I've been going between 1 and 0 recently, so it really is just between these, but I kind of like the liveliness of having it on 0. Wheel rotation speed is on 100. I'm experimenting with this quite drastically, so it really is ranging anywhere from 60 to 100. Sometimes I go low just for some insane kind of stability that offers, but at the moment it's at 100 because I have a few other things doing the job of making this less spiky. Feedback detail is set to 20, but you could also use 9, which is, there's like a scale. I believe it's from 0 to 9 is one setting, from 10 to 20 is a different setting. I use 20 as it's kind of the Simagic's the latest FFP detail they have on the go, and I really, really like it. If you don't use it, try it, get used to it. You'll stay, you'll love it. Dynamic prediction level, I believe this is for other sims, not supported in iRacing. Steering torque assist I don't use because I don't require any assist in that regard. No, I'm only joking, but for some people you may like this for certain cars if they're high load cars or something. For me, I don't really see any need for that. Mechanical damper is set to 15 just to kind of introduce a bit more stability in the car. It's taken me a long time to accept that damping is something that can actually help my performance. It can help consistency in the way I interpret the force feedback and the way I deliver inputs to my wheel. So I'm really experimenting with this. If you would have seen Jack a year ago, it would have been like, not a chance. Damper, give it to me raw. Take that how you want. But anyway, I did prefer raw force feedback. So I would have all these off, really be looking for the detail as raw as possible. The problem was I actually wrote an article on Simagic's website about this. I kind of had like a Romeo and Juliet style thing. I was in love with the idea of being in love with raw style force feedback. And to be quite honest, it wasn't making me fast. It was impeding me. It was slowing me down. So I did have to kind of compromise on what I thought I'd like to be fast with compared to what can actually help me produce the best results out of myself. So it's an interesting dynamic you need to look within once you're doing settings like this, because some part of you will want your settings to be a certain way. And if you're trying to get faster, if you're a circuit racer like myself, you may require other settings for other cars to give you that sort of stability. So the wheel may not feel the way you want it to, but the car will be doing exactly as you want, and you'll be receiving the information the car is telling you exactly as it's intended. Something to consider there. It's all part of the journey, by the way. It can't be rushed. Enjoy it. Mechanical friction, I leave at 10. So this is kind of like the friction in the wheelbase itself. Again, I had this on 0, liking the raw style force feedback because I did like it raw coming from the simulator, but I do put on a little bit at the moment just to add a bit more depth to it, a bit more, I don't know, substance to the actual turning of the wheel, just to give it a bit more something on top that kind of adds a bit of pressure to it. That way it's not just a floaty wheel. You do need to add something so the wheel has, let's say, a baseline for it to put all its detail on top of, because if you're just receiving detail without that baseline, personally me, I find it a bit bleh. So I'm not too into it. Mechanical inertia is interesting. It's when you throw the wheel, it'll want to kind of keep going a little bit, as in the inertia of the wheel itself, so you turn your wheel right and it'll have a little flick right and stuff like that. So the wheel will have a bit of inertia. You can test this in the simulator. You'll feel it straight away. I used to use 5, used to use 10. To be honest, with these two guys on the go, I don't really need any other extra variation kind of potentially slowing me down. So I'm not too into it at the moment. Slew rate control is a new addition we have to the Alpha Evo bases that have been released for the Simpro manager. I'm liking it on 25. Now, this here will kind of balance out the FFB, will make it a little bit smoother and stuff, easier to mount curbs with. It'll make it kind of seem a little bit more realistic. So less raw, more realistic, in my opinion. I've been going between 20 and 25 here. You'll notice that this is actually a very close copy of the iRacing eSport. So if we have a look here, here's iRacing eSport. So this is the way iRacing eSport comes. I just made a few tweaks on this iRacing eSport. If I were you, I would highly recommend, whether you have the Alpha Evo Sport, the Alpha Evo, or you have the Alpha Evo Pro, and you're racing on iRacing, turn on iRacing eSport, as that is an excellent place to start, and then make variations from there, using this as your home base. This is a very good kind of home base for setting up your Alpha Evo. And I would definitely recommend starting here, because what I did was I saw this and I was like, okay, I don't really like the inertia. All right, a bit less mechanical friction, tiny little bit less damper. The filter I put down to 1. Then I was like, okay, I'm going to experiment with 0 for a while. Wheel rotation speed, I leave this on 100. These guys kind of do damp out the ferociousness of WRS. And yeah, as far as other effects, I usually leave these off. I've heard they're quite minimal in whatever they're doing. If you are struggling with the wheel letting go of it and it starts dancing in your hands, you can set this to 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 center damper. It will mean that there'll be a damper in the middle of the wheel. When you take your hands off, it'll be damped enough that the wheel won't be able to start bouncing and causing oscillations left and right. So those are my Simagic Alpha Evo Pro settings. Hopefully they've helped you out. If you have any questions about them, let me know down below. I have a section in my Discord where we talk about all our Simagic gear and stuff. I am a Simagic ambassador at the end of the day and a huge mega fan. So make sure to join the Discord if you have any issues, because we have a lot of Simagic fans in there, and definitely someone can give you a hand with kind of explaining more in detail what each of these mean. They're not too complicated, but the best way to figure out what they are is to get out in the sim, jack it up, jack it down, and then feel that difference. And that's the easiest way you can learn. It's also the fastest way, just to feel it for yourself. So hopefully this video was interesting for you guys and it was helpful. If you have any other ideas or even any other optimizations you'd like to recommend to me, do leave them down in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll see you on the track, guys.